Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Good evening, Hannah.
Good evening, and how are you doing?
Awesome. Felt like we just did this yesterday.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it does feel like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, we did some Beyond the Sagas, so look for that coming out here on YouTube. But right now, we're doing our weekly podcast, Inside the Force. And this week, we're going to be mainly talking about the latest episode of Andor, episode 9, Nobody's Listening. But first, as always, definitely want to start off by saying thank you to our patrons. Go to patreon.com/InsideTheForce if you want to check out our tiers and look to support the show. It's all different content on that we're putting up on there, but you're also obviously going to get stuff from YouTube and this show on your podcast feeds. But thank you so much to you guys. I got some comments too from you all that we'll mention on this episode. The first and only, Hannah, bit of news that I kind of just found. I didn't really. And of course, it's not really news from Lucasfilm. It's really more or less a report claiming to know why we're not getting Star Wars movies right now. So their claim is that there's some, not necessarily creative, but some, basically they're saying that the issue is Kathleen Kennedy, which is nothing new. A lot of people have complained about Kathleen Kennedy, but it's between Kathleen Kennedy and apparently Disney. And I don't know, they didn't really specify if it was Chapek or not, but they're basically saying that, and this part seems true, but you could almost come to this conclusion yourself, is that we've gotten announcements from Lucasfilm, like Rogue Squadron that Patty Jenkins was going to do, like Rian Johnson's going to do movies. Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones is going to do a movie. Taika is going to do a movie. I mean, you actually have gotten all of these announcements from Lucasfilm, but it doesn't look like we're getting those movies at all. So, because we haven't heard a thing about them, there's no release dates. So this article is basically saying that Disney is frustrated that Kennedy is announcing these things, but then for some reason pulling them back or not moving forward with them, because we know for a fact that none of them are in production.
Yeah.
So when can we get? Because we were technically supposed to get a movie this December, and now we don't even know when we're going to get another Star Wars movie. So just hearing that, I know you're probably hearing that for the first time. What do you think? There's any weight to that? Do you think it's true?
I don't know. I don't know if that's just a pot stir or if it's the actual truth. It could be they're just still trying to figure out what they're doing. Or it could be they have all these ideas, but then something comes up with regards to like, oh, I wanted to do something Old Republic, and this is my idea. Oh, wait, this is what canon now says, so you can't do that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the drawing board. I mean, because like I was wondering too, I'm like, it's weird. We hear like all these movies are going to come out and we have all these directors signed up for these movies. And then we don't see anything or hear any updates whatsoever, but we also don't hear that they're canceled. And at first I thought it was just because of COVID.
Right.
But it could be they're just kind of scared to go into a new world. It could be they're like testing the waters with High Republic.
Yeah, and it's funny that you're saying that because that's part of the article too, was about that Kathleen is the reason why she's pulling the trigger, or the reason why she's preventing these projects to move forward, is that she's terrified of the box office.
Just have to. I think part of like Andor, I would not be surprised if Andor was also a test. Because it's a Star Wars show, but we haven't seen a single Jedi yet.
Yeah, we won't, I don't think. I'm pretty sure.
And I don't think we will. So I wonder if that's a test as well, to see will people accept that kind of story. Will
Mm-hmm.
people accept something, a completely different timeline, or not timeline, but a completely different time period, like
Era.
High
Yeah.
Republic?
Mm-hmm.
I think the Star Wars fan base will embrace it. I honestly think they will. No good choices have ever been made out of fear, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just think they bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm not necessarily, I can't, I know that there was some blowback, which started, I mean, critically, it started with The Last Jedi,
Yes.
but it still made $1 billion in the box office. And then you've got the blowback of the box office blowback of Solo, which didn't do anything. And then you had a bunch of reshoots on that. So that was kind of doomed from the start, even though it ended up being, I think, a really good movie.
I love Solo.
I know.
I say this a million times. I love it better than Rogue One, So there you
go. I don't, but I definitely really enjoy the movie. I think it's really good. There's definitely creative decisions that I don't agree with, whatever. But overall, I enjoy the movie. I think Ron Howard actually did a really good job. And then, of course, obviously you had to finish the trilogy, and you put out The Rise of Skywalker, which it's unfortunate right now. I feel like a lot of people are seeing what Colin Trevorrow's Star Wars Episode 9 would have been, and now you're starting to get even more hatred to Rise. You hear you still hear a lot of people, at least I do on Twitter, that's like, man, if we only would have gotten Trevorrow's Episode 9, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, and I've read the synopsis and I've looked into it. I'm like, yes, it sounded really cool. Like, I would have loved to go back to Coruscant like he would have and stuff like that. But you know what? Whatever. And Rise ended up being what it's being, no matter what you felt about it. But that part of the Star Wars films were done. Now, we got told we were going to get a Star Wars movie every year. Of course, that stopped, and I don't believe they should have stopped it. I think they should have kept going, because regardless of how bad Solo did in the box office, the 5 movies still made you a ton of money. I mean, the first one, Force Awakens, I think it did $2 billion worldwide.
I think it did. It was impressive. It broke record.
That set the stage. So you didn't lose money with the 5 movies. I mean, come on. So now, the argument was always, do you have to make a $150 million movie? Can you just make a $50 million movie or a $70 million movie? Almost like the scale of a Disney Plus series, but a film, because then you're not risking as much, but probably able to make that money back if it all for some reason bombs with people not liking the story or not. But you don't have to hit home runs every time. That's I think Marvel's kind of gotten that mentality now. Like, we need to hit a home run every time, and it's like, no, you don't. You just need to have good stories, and people will go and follow it. So
yeah, amen.
So I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think. I think there is some truth into what this article said. Because either way, if it's not the truth, there's something going on. Why aren't we getting Star Wars movies? So, and with the Disney Plus series, I get it. We were told that we were getting, and maybe we will still, but we were told we were getting a Lando series. Mm-hmm. We were told we were getting a Star Wars droid series. Mm-hmm. That Rangers of the New Republic.
Yes.
Right. So I get it that you can make announcements and then change your mind. But the problem is that we've got another Disney Plus series. We haven't gotten any other movies. Like, every movie's been announced, there's nothing going on with them. So, and I'm really sad by that, because no matter how much I love these Disney Plus series, I love Star Wars in the theaters. So
there's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it, and I really want to go back to the theaters. And it's really weird to think about it. I mean, is this summer? I mean, we're talking 3 years. I mean, I'm sorry,
3 years.
Well, this December, yeah, because Rise of Skywalker was 2019.
Oh my word!
So even if they start shooting now, we're not getting another one for a couple years. So it's going to be 5 years. I don't know. It's starting to get ridiculous.
Well, maybe they're secretly shooting something right now and we just don't know about it.
That's the thing. You can't keep that stuff a secret anymore.
Well, apparently they can. Probably. So all of a sudden the Christmas gift is going to be surprise. Next Star Wars movie is coming out tomorrow in the theaters. That would be pretty crazy. Yes.
But there's rumors kicking up now that there's another pair of people, and I don't recognize their names, so I fail to say them now. I apologize. But again, they're in talks to be writing the next Star Wars movie, and that it's possibly set beyond Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. So again, but that's not a Lucasfilm announcement. That's just articles out there. So I don't know. Anyway.
I just think you need part of this is, especially and I think that's where Marvel got to, because personally, I haven't really been impressed with a lot of Marvel's latest releases.
A lot of people haven't. Mm-hmm.
Just from like a objective story standpoint, even like with the graphics and the CGI, I've personally felt a little cheated by it. Mm-hmm. It's not as good as the other movies, in my opinion. But they trust their fan base. The reason why they know they can churn all of these out is because they know they have a fan base and they know people are going to eat it up. So you have to understand that there is a Star Wars fan base that will eat up anything you throw at us.
That's right.
You just have to trust us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably why a lot of people are getting impatient, is because it feels like there should be this relationship of trust between the creators and the fans.
Yeah. Very well said. Yeah, I think that's right. Because you're never gonna stop the hate, or you're never gonna stop criticism.
You can't be a people pleaser, and I'm sorry that there have been things written about her. Well, I mean, I'm not sorry, but I'm sorry about the fact that there have been things written about her in the past, and it could just be that she just doesn't want to face any more hate. But I'm sorry, there's always going to be a hater.
Always going to be, yeah. But you got to realize, as you do when you go to like Star Wars Celebration, there is like you just said, a massive fan base that no matter what you put out there, they're gonna. Now they may not like it. I don't like everything that Star Wars puts out, but I'm gonna give it a chance, and I'm gonna throw my money at it every time. So.
And if you announce that it's a trilogy, we're going to see the rest of it. I mean, like Last Jedi, you had some people who were like, oh, this is amazing. And then you have other people like, oh, this sucked. But all those people still went and saw your third movie.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So just trust us. Just trust us.
Yes. Very well said. Yes. So that's it on the news. Nothing Lucasfilm has put out there officially, but lots of rumors going around on what the movie problem is. So
watch tomorrow is when they release the fact that
right. We'll talk about it next week then. All right. So before we get to Andor, of course, your release schedule coming up here this month. On the novel side, you got the High Republic Convergence with on November 22nd. And then the Battle of Jeddah, January 3rd. Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars, March 7th. High Republic Catalysm, April 4th. High Republic Path of Vengeance, May 2nd. Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade, July 18th. And on the comics side, this past week, you had Star Wars 29, Bounty Hunters 28, Mandalorian number 5. Next week, High Republic number 2. November 16th, you've got Afra 26, Han Solo and Chewbacca number 7. And then, I didn't realize this, but it's starting that third series from Charles Soule. First, it was War of the Bounty Hunters, then it was Crimson Reign, and now Hidden Empire #1 comes out November 16th. So, that's the other one we got to do, Hannah.
November 16th. Okay.
I got the Crimson Reign trade, so we'll go over Crimson Reign, which is that second part of that trilogy that Charles Soule has written. And then, to my pleasant surprise, November 23rd, I forgot, starts Yoda #1. So Yoda's got his own comic series coming out. And then Star Wars Revelations #1, which is a pretty interesting compilation of stories. So that comes out November 23rd as well.
All right.
Lots of stuff coming out. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, you trust us with the comics and the books. Why don't you trust us with movies?
I know, right? There's all kinds of stories out there. All right, so let's get into episode 9 of Andor. This is roughly basically the second episode of this kind of 3-episode arc before we get to the 2-part finale. Episode 9, Nobody's Listening. So, as we always do, Hannah, overall, what did you think about this episode?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It might be my favorite episode so far.
Oh, really? Wow.
I love it. I just think it's just so good. The acting is just like it's just chef's kiss. It's incredible. And then, I mean, they're backed into a corner. We're constantly seeing how impossible this situation is. So I can't wait to figure out how they're going to get out of this impossible situation, how Cassian and the rest of the crew there are going to do that. And then you got Mon Mothma, who is like, I love the title for the fact of nobody's listening. We get the literal meaning of that with Cassian going, no one's listening. We can plan, we can talk. No one's going to listen. But then we get the dual meaning, with Mon, where she feels like no one's listening to her. Where she feels like, I'm trapped. I don't know what to do. More and more we're in this more difficult situation, and I'm going to have to go to desperate lengths for desperate measures.
Yeah.
To help keep this going. And then you have poor Cyril. Cyril, right?
Cyril, yeah.
Cyril, no one's listening to him either.
Yeah.
So I just think it's an appropriately named episode.
Yeah, it fits so well.
What about what are your overall thoughts?
Well, I think yeah, no, I agree. I don't know if I would say it's or if it's the. Would you say your favorite or the best?
It's like one of my favorites.
Yeah, I would say it's one of my favorites. But I think again, it's obviously evident throughout the entire series that we've got great actors, we've got great writers. And it doesn't seem like it's faltering at all. I mean, every week it's just really good. But
solid A+ team.
Absolutely. And I think this week though, there was another thought that I was having, that something that I was kind of thinking about after I watched it. I said to myself, not only again is the writing and the acting really good, but the editing, which basically contributes to the pacing. And I was kind of looking through it and watching it again. And I mean, this has happened every week. I mean, we've bounced around this galaxy. I mean, there's a lot of locations that I don't think you tend to realize because it's so well put together. I mean, we're bouncing from prison to Bix to Mothma to Luthen back to and it's so well paced and it's so well timed that you don't tend to, you're not forgetting where you just left those people, right? It's, I don't know how to explain it unless you've kind of been in this industry, in this world, but it's like, man, you don't, you know, there's some shows I feel like where you're only bouncing around 3 different locations maybe, and you tend to like be like, oh, I even forgot about them. You know, this one, it's like, man, it's just moving so good. Each scene, each next scene has a meaning that moves it forward, and it just, I don't know, I just, it's so good. It's really good. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, this show, I feel like anybody that loves TV would really like this show.
Absolutely. And I like that is definitely something you would notice because you're an editor yourself.
Right.
So that's something you would notice. But I think great editing is at its best when no one realizes that it's being edited.
Yes, very true.
Like if the fact that people are saying, you know, yeah, it just flows so smoothly and I know what's going on, and it's not like I have to go, wait, what was that again? What was that whole storyline? I mean, that's just, you know, a huge compliment to the entire team on this show in general.
Yes.
So yeah, no, that's an excellent point. I mean, I didn't even notice the editing was good was fantastic until you mentioned it. And I'm like, oh yeah, actually.
I know, right?
But it's a compliment that I didn't think about it.
That's exactly right. No, that's exactly right. Because bad editing sticks out, just like bad audio or, you know, bad VO or anything like that, you know, or ADR. It's just, you can tell. When you can't tell and it's not top of mind, that's when it's really good. So what do you think about, I guess, one of the big reveals, right? The relationship between Mothma and Vel. Did you see that coming?
I did not. And it makes me go, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, wow, she's into this deeper than any of us thought. Because when you first met her with Luthen, we were all like, oh, well, I guess she's like just a recruit. No, she's a freaking spy that goes into these places, gets to know the culture, and starts up a coup. So then the question is, you know, are there more like her out there? Like, what? Mm-hmm. So, but it makes sense that that's her cousin, because of course they would confide in each other. It almost feels like they have more of a sister bond than they do a cousin bond. Yeah,
very much so. Yeah.
What about you? Did you see that coming?
No, it didn't. And I do kick myself when things like this, I feel like I should have caught wind of it, because, you know, when we saw Vel, you know, I guess it was the last episode, right? And we noticed how cleaned up she was, and she was on Coruscant, and, you know, Clea went and met her, and, you know, and it's like, that might've been 2 episodes ago, but, either way, she looks like she has money, you know? So it's like, okay, so maybe she's connected to somebody. Maybe it's Luthen, but obviously it's probably not anybody else it could be besides Luthen. It would have been Mothma. So, because one of the lingering questions I did have was, you know, Mothma has been obviously against the Empire since the beginning, but and she seems very hesitant to get into a battle with the Empire with Luthen, right? Because the way Luthen's doing things now, she, you know, as she was in one of those episodes where she's just terrified. She's like, do you know what you've done? You're like, you've started this. This is not what we had talked about. Because to her, she was fighting politically, right? She was doing what we saw her do here. Just make her case in the Senate, try to rally as many senators behind her as possible so that they can vote down whatever method the Empire is pushing or the Emperor is pushing. But obviously that's not getting anywhere. So that's what Luthen is trying to do, right? And so with that said, it's like, okay, well, how does she actually fully get involved? Like, and now that you know this relationship, how did they even meet each other? Luthen and Mothma? Like, we never saw that, right? This kind of explains that, right? So either Vel, I'm guessing Luthen recruited Vel, and Vel somehow they needed money, so she went to Mothma, even though Vel's got money, it seems like, but she seems younger, meaning that she probably, and then I guess Cinta made that reference about her running from her family kind of thing the last episode. So like, she might not have access to all of her money maybe. So then that's why Mothma came in to help. Anyway, so I think, but she clearly, I think you would agree with this, right? She clearly doesn't know how involved Vel is, though.
She doesn't. I don't think she does. I think Vel knows that Mon wouldn't approve.
Yeah.
Because, like, as I said, it seems very sisterly, the relationship we have. It feels like it's Mon's the older sister, Vel's the younger sister. So it's probably she doesn't share all the information because she's like, you don't want to know.
Yeah, agreed.
Or it could be, it's not that Vel doesn't, I don't think the thing is Vel doesn't trust Mon. I don't think that's the problem at all.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But I think at the same time, Vel just is like, I don't even want to put you remotely in any kind of danger. Mm-hmm. So you can tell them straight up, I don't know what she's doing because you don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that could be
exactly
it too.
Right. Yeah, and and then of course now my question becomes how long has Vel been involved in this? Like how long have they been planning things like this? Was Aldani the first thing?
No, there's no way.
Well, although she was there for what, like 6 months? I think they said maybe.
But that was so expertly done on her behalf in the sense of she really like gave off the air of, I'm just here. This is my life. This is where I'm from. Mm-hmm. That only comes with practice.
Yeah.
Unless you're a grade A actor.
Well, true. Yeah. Which they all are.
They all are. But I think she might have been involved since the beginning with Luthen.
Yeah.
And then it could be Luthen was like, we need money. And Vel's like, I know the person.
I mean, is it possible? Because I was somewhat in the beginning, in the first few episodes, I was somewhat thinking that maybe Luthen and Mothma were related.
No.
And that's why she got involved or whatever.
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't put it past it that they're all cousins, that they're not all cousins.
I don't know. There's something about the air between Mon and Luthen that does not feel familial. Mm. It doesn't even feel like it's that awkward second cousin removed at the family reunion that you just go, yeah, hey, how's it going? Good. Yeah, you enjoying school? I graduated 3 years ago. Oh, okay. It's not like, it's not even that type. It's not, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they are, and they're pretending not to be. Cause I feel like you would, if it was a relative, she would have more reasons to go visit him that weren't suspicious.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how often she does visit though. I feel like it's very rare, because of the fact that she doesn't want to draw attention to him and what they're doing.
Right, but if they were related, then you wouldn't need an excuse to go visit them.
Well, I guess that's true.
I don't know. That's just.
Yeah, maybe that's true, but I don't know. I think. Well, then I'm still a little baffled on, because I don't know if Vel's a good enough reason for her to get involved.
I think it's going to be that Luthen. I think what's going to happen is Vel's probably going to die. Luthen has to die, and someone needs to step up to the mantle. And Mon's like, "Well, I guess it's me."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but again, still, I'm trying to figure out, like, even the fact that how Luthen, spoke to Mon this last time she visited. because I mean, she was basically ripping him like, how could you have done this? People are going to suffer. And he's basically saying, too bad. This is where it's always going to go. And he's been doing these things without her knowing. Yeah. So like, it's probably not true about them being related, but part of me was always like, well, how do you talk to somebody like that you're actually relying on funding from?
Oh, that's true.
That's not family. Right? Because why wouldn't Mothman be like, well, screw you, buddy. We're done. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Something has to be there to me. Something has to be. And maybe it is Vel. Maybe that's is Vel, well, if Vel, I was about to say, is Vel his daughter, which would make them brother and sister. Because that would make them, that would make him her uncle, Mothma's uncle. That's not right. Anyway, I don't know.
Maybe he's her husband.
Her like actual like
Vel's actual husband.
Oh, Vel's husband. Ooh, okay.
Vel's husband. And Mon is the sister who's like, oh, you could have done better.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't be, obviously it wouldn't be surprising if it's nothing like what I think relationship wise, but something is there. There's got to be something there. Because it's very similar to honestly, it's very similar to like Saul, right? Like she doesn't put up with Saul stuff. She doesn't like how Saul does things. So anyway, she's still trying to fund him, even though she knows he did this. So anyway, that's just a kind of a thought. But I love what you said about, the nobody's listening, because it was frustrating to see her like in the Senate.
Yes. Trying
to make her case. And it's such a beautiful shot too, because we haven't seen that chamber since episode 2 or episode 3. And, I love seeing it still like that. It's pretty, I was hoping, cause I did see in the far shot, there is somebody sitting, in the middle, spire or whatever, in the middle of the chamber. Now it doesn't look like, it's probably not Palpatine. It's probably Masameda, his Grand Vizier. But it'd be cool to see if it was Palpatine or not. And I don't know if you noticed, but like the big tall shot, wide shot looking down on the Senate, the base of that spire is the Empire logo.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's freaking cool. Yeah. So anyway, that's I love seeing that stuff. All right, so let me ask you something about the one thing that is very surprising for me still is Cyril.
Guy.
Because I wanna ask you, like, I don't. It's really. How what was it? I had this in my head. I was going to ask you. Like Deidre. Okay, so he's approached her and they've had these talks. I mean, why is it that for Deidre, like, what is it about him? Why aren't you letting him help? Like, what is the reason that you are? Because I think there's a reason there. I mean, why isn't she letting him help? Is it? Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Because every time I see, because one of my early predictions of this thing was that they were going to finally meet, and she was going to realize that he knows a lot of stuff. I need to pull him in my team, and we need to go catch Cassian together. But every time they're in a scene together, she wants nothing to do with him.
I think it's going to be like end of the season. She's like, come on, I need your help.
Really?
But he's just, at this point, I'm like, oh, the poor little puppy dog.
Yeah. Well, he's desperate. There's no doubt about that. He is desperate.
Desperate.
And I think according to her, like she's already cleared his name. Like he doesn't have any more issues.
No, he
So
doesn't.
yeah, so it truly is. He just wants to catch Cassian for some reason. Obviously because he killed those guys and he feels responsible probably for the problems he caused with his officers. But I just find those scenes so it's like, but it's really good because I keep thinking, okay, she's gonna take him now, and then she doesn't. She still just slaps him down. I'm like, man, this guy is just getting brutally cut down.
Yeah, what did he do? Like what?
Nothing. Well, he did he did
Well, he did.
go against his commanding officer. Yes.
Yeah, but like beyond that, what did he do? Like he's trying to help.
He
Why
is.
are you letting him help?
Yes.
I don't know. Dee just got something going on. I don't know what it is.
What do you mean?
I don't know. She's just like, it's weird. She looks, at first I'm like, well, maybe she just looks down upon men because, she's a woman. She had to fight to get her position. If you notice, she's the only female in that position.
Around that table? Yeah.
She's the only female. So, she worked her tail off to get that recognition. So at first I'm like, well, maybe she's like, she doesn't need help from a man, but then she never reprimands her. I don't know if it's her assistant.
Yeah, I think it's kind of her assistant. Yeah.
Like it's assistant. Every time he says something or intervenes to help her, she doesn't talk him down. Instead, she's like, thank you. So yeah, what is her problem with Cyril?
I don't know. I maybe it's a little bit of like, I don't want this guy to steal my thunder, like you're kind of saying, I don't want to bring this guy in.
Her assistant steps in and says, oh, blah, 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 like brings forward new information. And she's not like, you should have told me first.
Yeah. But I don't know, we see him just like, just so frustrated and like desperate and wanting to help and all this, but just nothing's happening. And it's, we're 9 episodes in and he hasn't really, it's by no means like hurting the story whatsoever.
Oh, no.
But it's just funny to see him going through this. Like his mom is giving him, crap all the time. And I mean,
it's like whack-a-mole.
I feel so bad. Yes. I feel so bad about this guy.
Poor guy.
All right, so let's get to Andor and kind of what's happening there. Again, a great casting decision getting Andy Serkis in there. He's so good. And then of course the revelation that we're getting in this part is that, which I think is not a surprise. No one's getting out of this thing. This whole thing's a sham. Your sentence, all this stuff. So now that they're realizing that, Andor's obviously been working on trying to find the information and how many guards, and he's looking at rotations and all these things. I mean, it clearly makes sense that it's possible because as we find out, there's no more than 12 guards on a level. And I believe on the Mandalore podcast, Martin was trying to calculate that there's probably, I think there's like 16,000 prisoners on each level.
Something like that. There's a ridiculous amount.
Yeah. So you got 7 rooms, you got 7 tables and 7 rooms on 7 floors or something like that. I don't know, whatever the 7 times 7 times 7. It's like you've got a big ratio of guards. Of prisoners to guards. So yes, the question is they definitely can overcome them. I think the question is how do they get off the actual prison?
Well, I mean, you have Cassian right there who can fly, but I think the other problem is that all they have to do is flip a switch, and all of a sudden, thousands of people are down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like the other thing that's terrifying about this. So you definitely need to get a huge team together for this. This is not a small team mission.
And I'm assuming the boots that we see prevent you from getting zapped.
That is
Right,
my assumption.
Yeah, I think that's right. Because there was a point when Andor first showed up on the prison. They had all this rack of boots on there, and he was looking at them, and
Yeah.
that's definitely. I don't know if there's enough to get every prisoner, but at least the ones that'll make it out probably will end up getting the boots.
Yeah, there are a lot of things here and there that he just kind of looks and it cuts away to and looks and it cuts away to, and you're like, okay, how's that going to play into the escape?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty exciting episode, I think, next week, which should be the actual escape.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that the last two episodes are kind of going to be a two-parter, episodes 11 and 12. So we will probably see them get out. Now, what's your guess? You think Andy Serkis survives?
I want to see him survive.
Yeah. I mean, we know for a fact that Melshi survives because he's in Rogue One. But it'd be interesting to see. It'd be great to see Andy Serkis survive and somehow, live on in this series a little bit.
Yeah, I hope he survives, but I have a feeling he's going to be a sacrificial part.
I do too. I have this feeling he's going to die next episode. He's going to
die.
Yeah. Which brings me to another quick point too that I read. Tony Gilroy was interviewed. The creator of this series was interviewed talking about directors for season 2, and most of them that are doing season 1 are coming over to season 2. But as of right now, the only actors listed for season 2 as of right now are Cassian, who Diego Luna, obviously, the girl that plays Bix, Stellan Skarsgård, who plays Luthen.
Okay. Oh.
And Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays Mon Mothma, and that's it.
So Bix survives, and so does Luthen.
And so does Luthen, apparently, right? So
maybe Luthen comes back in a Force Ghost or something.
Yeah. So that maybe lends itself to some of those theories we just talked about, like there's no Vel, at least listed right now. There's no Cyril listed right now. I would assume you're gonna bring back. Obviously, he's alive still. You're gonna bring back Forrest Whitaker as Saul, unless for some reason we don't have him in the season. But I figure you have to.
You do.
Yeah,
you do. I feel like Cyril has to come back because otherwise, I'm like, what was his purpose?
Yeah. I do too. I think there's definitely going to be announcements for. I think part of it is they're hiding it, so the fact that you don't know what happened, what can happen to them.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not like, oh well, I guess so and so died. Like,
right.
No, I totally get that. What if they threw a curveball? What if they added Luthen, but he really dies? So he's actually not coming back next season.
I know. And I think that's possible too. For sure. He could be, because he could be listed just as like maybe a flashback character or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, totally think that's possible.
Oh boy. That'll be interesting to see.
It will be interesting. Sure. It will be interesting. Okay, so anything else did you want to mention on that?
I think we covered it. Can't wait to see how this ends.
Yeah, so how's this tracking, this whole series tracking? Your favorite series so far?
It's a tight one between this and Mandalorian season 1.
Yeah.
Tight.
Yeah. So
I know, okay, I know.
No, so you liked season 1 better than season 2, Mandalorian?
Well, I also didn't finish season 2.
You haven't finished season? Wait a minute.
Wait,
what?
No. I'm thinking of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, you haven't finished Boba Fett. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I finished season 2. I'm thinking of Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
Because anyway.
And you liked season 1 better than season 2, or?
Yeah, I like season 1 of Mandalorian better than season 2.
Okay.
And I think it's just because it was something new that combined what people who are of like the older Star Wars generation, it combined what they loved with what the new Star Wars generation loves. It just combined the two. And I think just because of that ingenuity of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably the only reason why I prefer season 1 over season 2. But that's, I think, like one of the only reasons.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I think, I mean, this is to me the best Star Wars series that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to favorites,
right?
That one I don't know yet. I have to wait till it's over to
we have to see what it.
That.
But I think we can say objectively this is the best.
Yeah, you want to talk about top to bottom as far as acting, directing, writing, editing. I don't think there's a comparison, to be honest. The music, yes. I mean, I think The Mandalorian is well done, but even no matter how much I love Favreau writing those, I don't think it holds a candle to this series, to be honest.
I don't think it does. And I think also Favreau was just so brave to throw something new out there for us.
Yeah, but I also think Favreau, and again, I don't want to knock his writing because he's a very good writer, but to me, I feel like it's a little easier when you're writing, kind of around the stories that you really love and that the stories that he's familiar with in a sense, right? Because he's so familiar with the Mandalorians and the Jedi and things like that because working with Filoni all these years. This is just something we haven't seen in Star Wars. And
I think so too.
And I think the writers, even though they may be Star Wars fans, they're good at what they do with this genre. And that's why it's so good.
Well, I think the other reason why we appreciate them so much is because these are characters that we already know. These are characters that we've seen before, and they capture them perfectly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, with Mandalorian, you have free license. You're writing new characters altogether.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's the tricky part.
Besides when Boba Fett shows up or Luke shows up, Ahsoka.
I'm talking season 1 here.
I get what you're saying. Yes. Okay. Let's see. It's some comments here. I am going back a couple weeks because I failed to do some of these. Back on. Let's go back to. Let's see. Episode 372 when we talked about episodes 5 and 6. Thrawn Addict, one of our master patrons, said, "Loved episodes 5 and 6 of Andor. Episode 5 was a bit slow, but thought it was a good build up to the heist, and you get quite good character backgrounds. Episode 6, in my opinion, was probably best episode of Star Wars so far. Was visually stunning and so intense throughout the heist. Thought it was very much like Rogue One, where a lot of characters don't make it out of the heist." Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. And then episode 373, JoJo mentions, "Personally, I loved the ending with the beach tourist vibe. It was so funny, and seeing shore troopers and KX units was epic." Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. Our last episode last week, when we talked about Tales of the Jedi, JoJo mentions it far exceeded my expectations. I was really excited seeing the trailer and all but the facts that it would and all but the facts that it would only be 6 episodes annoyed me. Luckily, that was no problem at all, as every second of these episodes was perfect and important. I had trouble understanding why Ahsoka and Dooku were the focus, but now it makes total sense. They both faced the corrupt state of the galaxy, but only one chose the right path.
Mm-hmm.
Dooku, as Yaddle said, was fooled by the dark, just like Anakin, who would have been an alternatively fitting character to contrast Ahsoka to for the series. Interesting. But we know everything about him already, whereas we did only have very little info about Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
Great review by you both. Looking forward to more in-depth discussions on The Mandalore. And then Thrawn Addict on last week's episode, loving the long discussion and review for Andor and Tales. Thank you. Yeah, that was a long episode.
That was a long episode.
He says, in my opinion, the Andor show just gets better and better with each episode. They went quite dark with the prison and deadly floor, which I thought was a cool concept. Andy Serkis was a real nice surprise as well, and had some thought as you about building parts for Death Star. I know you. Some people thought it was silly that Andor got caught for doing nothing. But do you think maybe Empire capturing people like Andor who can work hard labor to help the Empire keep up with the manufacturing, similar to slave type situation? Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. No question. No question. I'm sure they're like, if you see anybody that is just remotely suspicious and it's a male and they look fit.
That's right.
Arrest them.
I mean, clearly in every part of this prison, it's all males. So
well, yeah. And then Andor even says we're cheaper than droids.
That's exactly right. Yep. And you can keep us here forever. Yep. He goes on to say, Mothma, fantastic once again. Love the fake smiles to other politicians and trying to work the room. Great to see Saul and loved him with Luthen dialogue. So compelling. And it is clear that they both pretty much know they cannot best the Empire on their own. I could go on about this episode because it was so good, but I won't. Tales of the Jedi was great. The first episode was a bit slow, but really enjoyed all the others. Dooku's turn was amazing to see, especially seeing it in regards to the Phantom Menace timeline. And of course, seeing Yaddle was fantastic, which was voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard, apparently, which I did not realize. Ahsoka episodes were great, but not sure if her last episode contradicts canon with her E.K. Johnston novel. But a while since I read the book, so not sure if changes were made. Lastly, quick question for you and Hannah. If you both got to pick characters or storylines for season 2 of Tales of the Jedi, who would you pick? Thanks again. May the force be with you. Yes, actually, we talked about Thrawn Addict on, I think we did talk, maybe we didn't. But
we briefly mentioned that it would be great to see Ventress.
Yes, absolutely.
It would be great to see her. But other characters that I wish I knew a little more about.
If you had to pick 2 characters for storylines for season 2.
Well, oh man, that's a hard one because now you got to think of 2 that are like destinies are intertwined.
And you got to remember, and you kind of got to remember, it is Tales of the Jedi, so they have to be Jedi.
Yeah, they do have to be Jedi, so you can't really pick Ventress. Well,
no, I think you could because she was a Padawan. She was part of the Order. I think Ventress is clearly a good one. The Ventress, of course, the Ventress and the Quinlan Voss crossover. I think those are interesting.
You know what I think would be really, really interesting? Ventress and Leia training as a Jedi.
And Leia training. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Because they both left the Jedi Order, but for different reasons.
Yes. Very true.
And it was both like I don't know why Ventress left, but it'd be interesting if she like got a premonition as well.
Ventress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's why Leia stopped training because she saw what her son was.
Ventress wasn't not. Part of me feels like Ventress was basically expelled because maybe I get that wrong. I thought she was maybe kicked out because she wasn't fit to move on to a knighthood because there was maybe some anger in her or something like that. I don't know. Part of me feels like I remember that, but
I don't know. But I also wonder if this will be a great time for us to be introduced to characters from the New Republic or from the High Republic. Sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I think this series is meant to do something like that. Mm-hmm. But honestly, right now, I think there's another lingering question out there, which has been solved a little bit in the Clone Wars and a little bit with this first season with Dooku is Sifo Dyas. I think because he is I don't know what you call it, but he is a foreseer. Like he has premonitions. He's like one of the only ones that can do that. And there's only been several of them on all of the Jedi. So seeing that a little bit more and learning more about him, because him and Dooku were pretty much best friends.
Yeah.
Growing up through the Jedi Order. So it'd be nice to kind of get more of his background and what did he actually know. And we did see in Clone Wars that he was, imprisoned and caught by Dooku or basically. And, they found his ship and they found his lightsaber, but like, we don't still know how much did he actually know and when did he find out? And did he actually foresee this whole time? And then of course I would say, Tales of the Jedi, I guess he wasn't a Jedi, but I was going to say Palpatine, but
I think it would be interesting if we met a young Palpatine. And I mean, we don't know. We don't know if he was, well, maybe we do, and I just haven't read anything yet, but we don't know if he started out as a Jedi.
No, we don't. There's nothing about that. No.
Like there's nothing about it. So what if we meet this young boy? We don't know who it is. We all assume, oh, he's just a random Jedi, and all of a sudden plot twist at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, you could totally do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what? What if you did Palpatine and Leia? Because Leia struggles with the dark side of the Force a lot in Princess and the Scoundrel. I don't know if you've gotten there yet, but she struggles a lot with the dark side.
Interesting. I have not.
It's subtext.
Yeah.
But whoo. So
I like that. Now any more Leia, I'll take any more Leia. Always.
Just an idea.
But that is a good idea. Yep. You got to bring Kat Tabor back to voice her though. That would be
heck yeah.
that would be cool. Okay. Thanks for the comments, guys, and keep them coming. And we enjoy reading them on here and deep diving in there. So, all right, that will do it. Come back here next week when we're talking about episode 10 and the conclusion maybe of this prison break. We'll see. Of course, keep checking out the Mandalore podcast if you want to get, some 2 to 3 hour episodes of Martin and I deep diving even more into these Andor episodes. We are doing a episode on there of Tales of the Jedi, I think next week as well. So even longer podcast. And then, of course, keep coming back here to YouTube at Inside the Force on YouTube, where you're getting all these extra shows like Hannah and I's Beyond the Saga. I've got a council sessions coming out soon with Martin Donison, actually, where we talk about the viewpoint of the Empire.
Ooh.
Actually, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that from you, Hannah, maybe next week. Has Andor changed your views of the Empire at all?
Okay.
Since we're learning more about them, I think it's an interesting conversation. So, me and Martin got an episode of that coming out, and then of course me and Corey over there on Dark Knowledge is actually going to be diving a little bit more into Dooku on that episode, right? So, lots more stuff coming. Take care, everybody. We will see you next week. Thank you so much, Hannah, as always.
Thank you, as always.
Take care, everybody. May the Force be with you.